All right, so when you are looking to buy an older dog, or maybe you're taking over an older dog from someone else, there are a few things you need to be aware of. The first question you always ask in your mind or to the person is, why are they giving up their dog? Was it because of some changes in the house? Maybe maybe their work schedule didn't fit in with their dog anymore. Maybe a job change, stuff like that. It could be that the dog was too active for them and they were not very active. Whatever it may be, maybe they're moving or maybe they're going through a divorce. It can all happen. So there are various reasons why people give up their dog. So ask them about this. Now, the one thing you want to use caution with is, are they giving up the dog because of behavioral issues? Because they have trained the dog a certain way and the dog has learned to respond a certain way towards the family that the dog has been with. So if they weren't training the dog properly, and that's usually the reason why they give up their dog, you need to be aware of that. If you've never had a dog before, this may be a bit of a challenge for you, and it may not be the right thing for you to do because, again, as I mentioned in a different video, is because you don't know the history, and if you've never had a dog before, this will be a bit of a challenge. It's a challenge already to start with a puppy, but it's usually easier to train a puppy the way you want it rather than a dog that is already stuck in its habits. So be aware of dogs with potential behavioral issues, because they may be stuck in a certain way of behaving around you and your family. So that's one of the things you want to obviously look out for. Then the next thing you want to look at or ask them is, do they provide you with any health records from the dog? Like, is the dog spayed or neutered? Does it have any health issues or problems that you would like to know, of course? So ask them about this. The other thing is, when you buy an older dog from someone privately or from a rescue place, you often don't get a guarantee with it. You just get the dog as is. So you take on that responsibility, and you need to be aware of that, of course. When you're buying an older dog from a shelter, there are times where, well, most of the time, they will actually ask you a few questions about your personal life. They may ask you about your home situation, if it's a home, if it's an apartment or a condo, and if you have a lot of property, if you have a fenced backyard, if you're going to even have the dog on the couch sometimes. They will ask you about your activity levels sometimes. They will ask you about your work schedule, if you're going to have enough time for this dog or not. They will ask about your activity levels, if you're fit enough. I know it sounds almost too personal, but it's a thing that they want to know because they don't want to have to rehome this dog over and over. So these are important questions for the shelter to ask you, and they sometimes may be a bit personal, and sometimes they will even refuse you. Often, if you've never had a dog before, then there's a chance that they may say no to you because you've never had a dog, and that particular dog that you're looking at may not be the right one. It happens. Sometimes they refuse people for weird reasons, unknown reasons. And sometimes, of course, they do tell you, well, because of this, you can't have a dog. So it happens. So don't feel too offended by it. Yes, it's great. You're trying to help out a dog that's at one point maybe was unwanted by someone or neglected, and someone rescued it. And it's great you're willing to try it. But for whatever reason, you're refused. So it can happen. So keep that in mind as well. Looking at a shelter is great, of course, but it's possible it's just not the right thing for you and your family. You may not be compatible with the dog, and you just have to respect the decision of the person that's there that tells you to look elsewhere. There are lots of options out there. Of course, you can look at getting a puppy rather than getting a rescue dog. I highly recommend looking first at a rescue dog because, saving a life is awesome. But again, maybe it's not the right thing. Maybe it's your first dog and you want to just try, start slowly, and you want to basically start with a puppy, like a fresh, blank hard drive type idea, and you can train the dog the way you want it to. So I highly recommend you stay following my training course here, because I will go over all of that as well, where I completely explain to you how to train your puppy from the moment you take it home, all the way to having a very well behaved, very well trained dog. So we'll see you in the next section.